Right, thank you very much. Right, welcome to our virtual planning meeting. We have done this on numerous occasions now, so we are getting a bit clever, really. We're getting a bit clever. So may I first remind you all of domestic arrangements. It is important that all participants conduct themselves in an appropriate manner. Please put your mobile phone on silent. Participants must ensure their microphones are muted throughout the meeting. If you wish to speak, you must raise your hand via the raise hand facility in Zoom and only unmute your microphone when invited to speak. Please do not interrupt other speakers. Members are reminded they should not have alternative communication lines open. If you lose connection, we will adjourn for 10 minutes to try and get you back on. We are being broadcast live to the internet. The whole of the meeting will be recorded except where there are confidential or exempt matters. To vote on the matters, I will confirm the recommendation and request a mover and seconder. I will then hand over to the Democratic Services Officer to conduct a roll call of votes. Right, so that's that bit done. So the first item on the agenda is apologies for absence, so I will hand over to Democratic Services, Paula, to do a roll call of members and officers. Thanks, Paula.
Thanks, Chair. If members could just respond by saying present, please. Councillor Anne Thompson.
Present.
Colin Thompson.
Present.
Aswad.
Present.
Burley.
Present.
Edwards.
Present.
Gorn.
Present.
Hall.
Present.
Husband.
Present.
McEwen.
Here.
Mooney.
Present.
Not.
Present.
And Chair, I've got apologies from Councillor Seward and Councillor Preston is substituting.
Present. Thank you.
Thanks. And officers, if you could just respond with your full name and job title, please. Jason.
Jason Nipkiss, Development Services Manager.
Maureen.
Maureen Smith, Principal Planning Officer.
And Charles.
Charles Wilson, Principal Planning Officer.
Thanks, Chair. I'll hand back over to you. We haven't got any applicants or objectors speaking today.
Right, thanks very much, Paula. Right, to receive any urgent items, I haven't received any. Anybody wish any delegations? I haven't received anybody who wants to move anything undelegated. Admission of public and press, we're all in part one. Declarations of interest, has anybody got any interest to declare?
Just the usual, Chair.
Okay, thank you, Bill.
Same with me, Anne.
Okay, thanks, Derek. Right, confirmation of minutes. Do you agree I confirm the minutes?
Agreed.
Agreed.
I will get in and sign them eventually, I assume. Public participation, there's no members of the public attending the meeting today. Right, so we go on to the planning booklet. So the first one is 2 to 6 Gloucester Street. Things go funny. Oh, do you agree the, sorry, I forgot the delegated approvals. Do you agree that?
Agreed.
Agreed.
I'm going, can't get me thing to move on. There we are. Right, I'll find the application. It's the first one. We need to be in the town hall for this because we need Paula to show us how to get to things quick rather than having to flit through the whole thing. Right, 2 to 6 Gloucester Street. It's a change of use from a former doctor's surgery to a 10-bedroom house in multiple occupation. Who's doing this one?
Thanks, Chair. That's
okay,
nice.
Thanks, Maureen.
Good afternoon, everyone. This application relates to a change of use of the former Rysdale Doctor's Surgery, which has now moved into the Alfred Barrow Health Centre. And it's a change of use to a 10-bed HMO with associated some minor external alterations as well. It was previously arranged as 9 consulting rooms with treatment and staff rooms as well. So there was quite a degree of comings and goings in terms of staff, patients and deliveries to the site. The proposed 10-bed HMO is really just to have quite a modest impact on any neighbours, quite a neutral effect really, and potentially a reduction in comings and goings to the previous authorised use. The reason it falls before you at committee today is that we've received 4 objections actually, principally based on concerns about car parking. However, the Highway Authority have been consulted on the application and they've raised no objection. They've viewed that it's unlikely to cause a significant impact in terms of the change of use. And they've also commented that HMO use typically involves a lower level of car ownership than some other potential uses. The proposal does meet the council's housing requirements in terms of policy and in terms of providing a type of residential accommodation that's important through the local plan. And the licensing system that's dealt with principally through the Housing Department under the Housing Act will cover details within the HMO in terms of the facilities, fire safety, storage, fridge and freezer space, and all of those kinds of issues. So really we're happy with the proposal and it's recommended for approval subject to the conditions in the committee agenda. Thank you, Chair.
Councillor Hall.
Is this just another service department building?
Through you, Chair, no, the application isn't for serviced apartments. That would be a different use class. It's a house of multiple occupation. So there are 10 bedrooms and then there are shared kitchen, lounge facilities within the property. So it falls under a sui generis use class on its own, in effect, as a large house of multiple occupation. So it's not serviced apartments, it's a house of multiple occupation.
Right. But is there anything stopping it becoming yet more serviced apartments? That's the question I get it's the HMO. And there's various HMOs. Some are being used as service apartments. Some are being used as bed and breakfast, bed sits. Is this more the bed sit type?
Thank you. Through you again, Chair. Barrow's slightly unusual, I guess, in that we have got quite a few HMOs, but typically they do tend to serve the contractor market, whereas in other towns that's probably not the case. The application as it stands just now is it an HMO where there are individual bedrooms with ensuite accommodation, ensuite facilities, and then the residents would share a kitchen and a lounge space. So that's basically how it would operate.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have control over the type of people occupying an HMO. That's not something planning legislation can deal with. And the proposal isn't for serviced apartments, so that would require a change of use and also a reorganisation of the internal space, because they don't have individual kitchens as serviced apartments would probably have, or individual lounge spaces. So that would involve a change of use and also a change of the internal arrangement as well. So it's only an HMO that's before you today, Chair. Thank you.
The reason, sorry, Chair, the reason I was asking this is it's the issue around overnight car parking, where if it was going to be, in effect, serviced apartments, there is a potential issue. You're going to have 10 vehicles parked in that area, and that's why I was sort of keen to get to the bottom of it.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I understand your concern about the car parking, and it is something that some of the local residents have raised as well. However, given the authorised use and also potential changes of use within the authorised use class from a doctor's, 9 consulting rooms, staff rooms, patients coming and going, deliveries, the potential impact is likely to be better for the residents than it is at the moment in terms of car parking. There is adequate on-street car parking both on Gloucester Street and on Cambridge Street adjacent. I've been on site a couple of times and I've never seen an issue in terms of a lack of car parking adjacent to the site, and without any highway objection, really it's not an issue that I'm overly concerned about. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Right, Bill, did you want to say something?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Yeah, thanks, Maureen, for your report. Very good. Just, I mean, when these issues come up, we've always got parking problems, but parking's not a planning issue. So, I mean, we will get that all the time, and County Council Highways are happy with it. What I was going to ask, Maureen, was you touched on fire hazards and stuff like that. I'm looking at page 4, and it says the plans do not currently show the fire safety measures to the property, and it's unclear about kitchen cover per person and fridge. Have we got any clarification on that? You did touch on it, but can you just give me a wee bit more clarification, please? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Yeah, that was a comment raised by the Housing Department as a consultee within the council and the person responsible for issuing the HMO licence. So all of those issues would be dealt with through the licensing system rather than through the planning system. There is a mandatory licensing for HMOs before they can come into use. So that covers the fire regs are also dealt with under the building regs as well, of course. So that would cover even down to individual things like the number of fridge shelves for each individual occupant, the freezer space for each occupant, storage space, and so on. So that they're not matters that planning would get involved in, but
No, okay, that's fine.
so the licensing system is quite careful in covering those issues. Thank you.
Thank you, Maureen. Thank you, Chair. I have no problem with
Okay,
it, Chair. I'm
thanks,
with the
Bill.
recommendation.
Right, anybody else wish to speak? The recommendation's been moved by Councillor McEwen. Is it seconded?
I'll second it, Anne.
Thank you. Right, Paula, do you need to go a formal vote? Yes.
Yeah, I'll do a roll call, Chair. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
If members could just respond with for, against or abstain, please. Anne Thompson,
For.
Colin Thompson,
For.
Aswad,
For.
Burley,
For.
Edwards, Corn, Councillor Gorn. Thank you. Hall,
For.
Husband,
For.
McEwen,
For.
Mooney, Knott, and Preston.
Sorry, for.
Thank you. Chair, that's unanimously granted.
Right, thanks very much. Bill, can you take your hand down? Otherwise, you'll get Maggie. You will talk on everyone anyway. But
Sorry, Chair, sorry.
that was a bit cheeky. Sorry, Bill. Right, we go on
It's
to
all
the
right,
next.
Anne. It's okay.
We go on to the next application, which is Dalton Lane Housing Site. This is for non-material amendments following the granting of planning permission. So who's doing this one, please?
Myself, Chair.
Right, Charles.
Thank you, Chair.
Floor's yours.
This application is for a change to the approved position of a dwelling on plot 6 of the Dalton Lane development. And the change to the siting has brought the property closer to existing neighbouring properties. Now, the property itself, in plan view, is like a capital L shape. So one, which means it has 2 rear elevations, and one rear elevation backs onto properties which face onto Dane Gill, and the other rear elevation backs onto a property in Dalton Lane. And if members turn to page 57 of the report, there is a table which has the distances to the neighbouring properties. So if you look at the top line, you've got a distance there to number 3, Dane Gill, and it states that the approved distance was 41 metres and it's reduced to 38.9 metres. Beneath that is number 4, Dane Gill, and it's reduced from 34.7 metres to 33 metres. And then the next property is 59 Dalton Lane, and the distance is reduced from 39.9 metres to 36.6 metres. So you can see there that the distances to the existing neighbours has reduced between 1.7 and 3.2 metres. So that's the scale of the change. The recommendations for approval, because the council's policy is to require a minimum of 21 metres between individual houses. And in this case, the minimum distance is 33 metres. So it's well above the policy. So while there are objections based upon this being closer than approved, it still more than complies with the council's policy. The last thing you just need to mention is that the floor level of the dwelling has increased as well. And the height of what we call the finished floor level has increased by 175 millimetres. And that in old money is 7 inches. So it's the equivalent of 7 inches higher. And again, in terms of the distances that we have, the conclusion reaches that that increase in floor level is not significant. So the recommendation is that the revised height and position are approved. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thanks, Chair. Anybody on the committee wish to make any comments on this one? Bill?
Thanks, Chair. Thanks, Charles. Right, so has the objectors been notified of these amendments? So are they happy with them? Do they know, you know, they're objecting to what you've just taken me to? Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. The neighbours are not happy, and the neighbours have written in to object to the change.
Oh, okay, thanks. So where do you go with that then?
Well, Chair, the council has to make a decision as to whether the reduced distance or reduced distances are acceptable or not. And my advice is that because while less, because the distances are still much more than our normal policy requirement, that reduced distance is still acceptable. So while it's less than what it was, it still exceeds the council's policy requirement.
So can I come back, Chair?
Yeah.
So the object. Thank you, Chair. So the objection is to this one plot, plot 6. Is that right?
That's right, Chair.
So what would happen if we took plot 6 away? Would it matter? Would it matter?
Well, they do have planning permission for plot 6, so they're not proposing to remove it. What they're proposing is to recite it. So
That's fine, Charles. No, you've answered my question. That's fine. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah, because to be quite honest, neither us nor the residents are ever going to be happy over this building site anyway, over these houses that are being built. Councillor Hall.
Yeah, Chair. Charles, why do they want to move it? Is it because they've started work and they put it in the wrong place?
Chair, I understand it was a conscious decision to move it to create a wider path down one side. So no, I understand it was not a mistake. I think one could say it was a mistake not to apply to the council earlier.
Yeah.
But no, I believe it was a conscious decision to move the dwelling.
So they were given planning permission, we agreed the layout, and they just decided, well, actually, no, we want to move that over there, but we won't bother applying for it.
Well, they've applied retrospectively.
Yeah, well, yes. I'm just unhappy with the fact that they deliberately flouted what was awarded.
I think one of the difficulties is that planning permission is not meant to be applied as a form of punishment. So if someone carries out development, perhaps prematurely, that is not supposed to be a reason to refuse planning permission. One still has to consider whether the scheme that's applied for is acceptable or not. And as I say, based on the distances, which are a minimum of 33 metres, and the policy requirement is 21 metres, that based on that, the recommendation is for approval.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Councillor
you.
Tom.
Sorry. Can I come in, Chair?
No, it's Councillor Gone first, then you, Bill. You go.
Sorry.
Right, I didn't quite hear that, Anne, sorry. What difference does the floor level make? Will it mean that they'll be overlooking other houses around or not? Or will it block any sunlight or anything like that?
I mentioned about the increase in height, and I mentioned it was 175 millimetres higher. And I don't know if members are a bit like me, it can be hard sometimes to appreciate what 175 millimetres are. So I gave the example of the old money, as it were, and mentioned it would be 7 inches. And we all know what the height, what different 7 inches is. So I think you've got to think about that increase in height, what effect that would have from someone 33 metres away. And that's quite a long way, it's about 100 feet. So I would say that increase of just a few inches in that sort of distance would not really be that significant.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Derek. Bill, do you want to come in?
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Yeah, I've heard everything that Charles says, and I take on board what he says. And as you said, Chair, you'll never make anybody them all happy all the time. Doesn't matter what we do, and we've done what we want to do. So with that, I move the officer's recommendations with approved conditions.
Right, thanks,
Thank you, Chair.
Bill. Is that seconded?
I'll second it, Anne.
Okay, thank you. Paula, can we have a vote, please?
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Again, if members could respond with for, against or abstain, please. Councillor Anne Thompson.
For.
Colin Thompson.
For.
Aswad.
For.
Burley.
For.
Edwards.
For.
Gorn.
For.
Hall.
Against.
Husband.
For.
McEwen.
For.
Mooney.
For.
Not.
For.
And Preston.
For.
Chair, that's carried with 11 in favour and 1 against.
Okay, thanks very much. Right, now we move on to the next one, which is the land at Paddock View, Woodbine Lane, Newton. Who's doing this one?
Me again, Chair.
Thanks, Charles.
Right, this is an application for a farm track. I say a farm, it's to a small holding, and the small holding is located at Woodbine. And I think members will be familiar with Woodbine. It's just on the other side of Newton Village. And this access track is made out of crushed stone, and will provide an alternative access to this small holding. And the application is for something quite minor development, and it has some benefits in that it would take farm traffic away from neighbouring properties. So there's no actual objections to the application. The reason it's on the agenda is that the recommendation departs from the advice given by Cumbria County Council's Highway Authority. And what the Highway Authority have asked for is that where the track comes out onto the country lane, which is an existing access, they've asked for that existing access to be improved based upon the extra traffic. Now, the improvements would involve the loss of about 300 metres of roadside hedgerow. And the recommendation is that the application is approved without those highway improvements. And there's two reasons for that. One is that it's an existing access and the proposed traffic is quite low level. It's, as I mentioned before, it's a part-time small holding. But the other factor is that it's proposed to be used by a tractor, and tractors have high cabs and would be able to see over the hedge anyway. So the recommendation is for approval, but without the alterations to the access and the loss of hedgerow advised by the County Council.
Thanks, Charles, that's interesting. Anybody wish to ask Charles any questions? No?
I will.
Of course
I
you
just
will
want, it's a highways thing, because I just want to know why they want the hedge low. And I mean, if it doesn't need lowering, I agree with your proposal. I agree with it, but I just want to know why they want to lower the hedge.
Well, the County Council's Highway Authority feel that the hedge affects visibility at the access. So when people come out of the farm track, they feel that vehicles won't be able to see cars in the country lane. And that's why they're recommending that the hedgerow be removed to create a visibility display. And if this was an access serving a housing estate, for example, that would be needed. You would need a proper visibility display. But what I'm saying in this case is because it's only serving a small holding and the vehicles are quite tall anyway, that there's no reason to improve the access as requested by the Highway Authority.
Yeah, that's fine, Charles. So with that, and I propose the recommendation, Chair.
Okay, just hang on, Derek's got his hand up.
What do you say?
Right, am I right?
Yeah.
Right. This chap isn't he for him starting a business, because I see advertised a business selling roof sheets and it's under the same name, Mooland. If that's the case, and he's storing these sheets down his small holding, that roadway will be used more regularly by people going to pick them up. So I don't know if we can do anything about that if he is starting a business.
Thanks, Derek. Charles, do you know anything about that?
I don't have any information on that, Chair.
Okay. Thank you.
Would he need any planning permissions to turn his small holding into a business unless it was an agricultural business?
Well, there's been reference to selling sheeting. I don't know the background, but is it possible that he's had some surface sheeting which he's wanting to dispose of, second-hand sheeting, say? Does it necessarily imply a business?
No, there's a business set up selling roofing sheets, and it's under the name of Mooland. That's the only reason I asked.
Right, Chair. I think that is something that perhaps we would need to look into. I don't know whether it directly impacts on the application. you know, it's an access for a small holding. There seems to be an agricultural case for it. On that basis, it's recommended for approval.
Yeah.
Is the buildings on the land, Charles?
There are farm buildings on the land.
Right, Councillor
Yeah.
Hall.
Sorry, Chair.
Councillor Hall, did you want to come in?
Sorry, I was muted. Yeah, Chair, this gentleman, I believe, has a business in Askham where he does sell roofing sheets.
Oh, right, so maybe he's not even selling roofing sheets off his small building.
Yeah, the only reason I know I bought some for my garden shed.
Right, no, well, that might put that to bed then.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Derek. Right, it has been moved. Have I got a seconder, please?
I'll second
I'll
it.
say,
Right, seconded by Lords. Right, Paula, do you want to do a roll call?
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Councillor Ann Thompson,
For,
Colin Thompson,
for,
Aswad,
for,
Burley,
4.
Edwards,
4.
Gorn,
For,
Hall,
For,
Husband,
for,
McEwen,
For,
Mooney,
for,
Knott,
4.
and Preston.
for.
That's unanimously granted, Chair.
right, I think that's the end of our business, isn't it?
Yep.
yeah.
Okay, back in the live stream, can you cut us off, please?